I chronically had no confidence in anything. It wasn't just the graphics and the art, but it is a world where you have to pitch your work, you have to stand up and take very harsh criticism. It's very male dominated, and I just didn't fit in that world. I lost my vision, and that was my main symptom, and that was what led to the diagnosis, because I kept losing my vision in one eye. So during that time, anxiety, depression comes back up. I started having panic attacks again because nobody was listening. And from there, I actually started crocheting blankets for baby rhinos. Well, this is it, and it's very easy to start going, I'll start weaving scarves and selling them on Etsy and things. And I was about to do that, and actually, like someone said to me, that's when it doesn't become fun anymore. I'm just starting the illustration now, and it is so lovely to feel that I'm finally going to achieve that thing that I've wanted for so long.
Hi, I'm Claire, founder of Creativity Found, a community for creative learners and educators, connecting adults who want to find a creative outlet with the artists and crafters who can help them do so, with workshops, courses, online events and kits. For this podcast, I chat with people who have found or refound their creativity as adults. We'll explore their childhood experiences of the arts, discuss how they came to the artistic practices they now love, and consider the barriers they may have experienced between the two. We'll also explore what it is that people value and gain from their newfound artistic pursuits, and how their creative lives enrich their practical, necessary, everyday lives. For this episode, I'm speaking with Helen Hill about octopuses, baby rhinos, unlikely genius, and falling off the ladder. All will become clear, I promise. Hi, Helen.
Hello, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you. So, can you start by telling me how you currently express yourself creatively?
Yeah, I am someone that I do it in many ways, and it very much goes on a whim and what I want to do right in the moment. So I have so many hobbies, and as my partner Graham says, craft corner in the living room where there's just a pile of things. So my main one actually is writing at the moment. Even though I said 2 years ago I could never call myself a writer because I really love books and I love writers. Turns out I am one now. I have to say it now. I've had a book out. But I do find it quite cathartic. So that's a big one for me. But also I've become a craft addict. So a few years ago, I started doing crochet by, never want to start easy, trying to do the octopuses for preemie babies for the charity. And from there, I have crocheted for neighbours, for family, not to sell, it's just purely to make me actually sit down. And from there, I thought, well, I quite like all this stuff with wool. So I did a weaving course for a day, weave a scarf in a day, and absolutely loved it. And so got a loom for Christmas. So that's now in weaving corner. And quite often strung the whole length of the front room while I'm setting it up. It's no wonder I drive in potty, is it? But then I do bits of other things. So I've done whittling courses, mostly shredded my fingers, to be honest, with the knife. Pottery, I'm looking at the moment at doing one that's glass fusing. Anything and everything that just takes my fancy. A local craft workshop place we have, I do it, and quite often end up saying, oh, well, I'll just buy the equipment and I'll just have a tinker. And the one that actually got me started was a silversmithing workshop for 2 days, where I came out of that. She said, nobody's ever made so many things in 2 days before. I think I made 7 pieces of jewellery, whereas my partner made 1 and a bit. I actually ended up finishing most of it for him. Absolutely loved it. And yeah, that's something I do want to pick up again, actually.
Oh, it sounds like a wonderful opportunity to have that place nearby. Feel free to give it a name check. Where are you and what's the place?
Yeah, so I'm based in Bingley in West Yorkshire, and it's just called the Craft House. Little Craft House was originally set up in Shipley, in Saltaire, which is a very crafty, arty place. And they've recently moved to Bingley, so they have the bigger Craft House and the little one now. Yeah, it's just a really nice place. Amazing cake that they bring up while you're doing it as well, and keep fueling you with coffees and juices, and really beautiful place. So definitely a big shout out for them, actually.
That's important. Good cake.
Yes, it's very important, especially when you're weaving all day, walking back and forth.
Absolutely.
You need cake. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. So in your school and home life when you were younger, was creativity encouraged, and did you have opportunities like that then to get creative?
Yeah, I did. I was basically one of those kids that did everything. So I did a lot of sport and got involved in every club, music, art, everything. But I did really love the graphics side of things and the art. And it's funny because none of my family were particularly creative at all. And they've actually all taken it up later in life. But yeah, I was the only creative one, but they really embraced it and encouraged me to do it, And I actually, as when I was at secondary school, didn't want to pick art as one of my options, but asked to do it as an extra GCSE in my own time. So I did it before and after school and actually wrote two friends in to do that with me as well. And we did a short course GCSE in art just because I loved doing it, but I just didn't want to use one of my options on it because I wanted to do the sport and I wanted to do the history and everything else as well. So yeah, it was very much encouraged, and my parents forever were dropping me off at whatever club, whether it was art, sport, or whatever as well. And I was actually as part of it was like a gifted student club, which was again before school with a teacher that I don't think he was even paid. He just came in off the good of his back. He was brilliant, Mr. Deedy. He's died now, bless him. But he came in and ran like a gifted club force. It was about four of us out of a couple of different year groups where we even painted like a mural on a school wall and things like that. So I had him as like a sort of nurturing thing as well. And you wouldn't get away with this now, but used to take me on trips at the weekend. He took me to all kinds of places just to learn more about art. And he loved Winnie the Pooh. So he used to teach me to draw Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, oh, how lucky. What a wonderful
Yeah.
opportunity for you. That is so brilliant. You said then that you really liked graphics and you studied graphics at A level and at uni, but you've told me that you lost your confidence in the graphics and in the wider creative world. So can you tell me more about that time and the feelings you were having then?
Yeah, it's funny because all the way through my degree, I was doing really well. I was one of the top performing on the course, and I actually got to the end of the course, but I chronically had no confidence in anything. It wasn't just the graphics and the art, but it is a world where you have to pitch your work, you have to stand up and take very harsh criticism. It's very male dominated. There's also a lot of kind of microaggression and just real attitude, from people who kind of quite big for the boots. And I just didn't fit in that world. And I got to the end of my degree and realised, oh, I'm just not ready for that yet. So I actually did the masters just as a way of staying at university for another year. And that was a really rough year. Basically, there's a huge design company called Attic, and they ran the master's degree. So we did all the university work, but also did work for them at the same time. So it was very long days, absolutely exhausted. And I still came out of that lacking in confidence. So I went into the industry, but never quite found my place in the world. I didn't want to work for agencies because I just didn't feel like that was my place in these big agencies. So I just worked for a small printing company at first, went into an electronics company doing their marketing, the design side of it, and just eventually was poached into lecturing. Somebody floated the idea of why don't you train to be a lecturer in graphics, and thought that actually brings in a couple of things I'm interested in. So I went down that route instead. And after a very rough time in lecturing, actually just left graphics entirely. And I actually ended up in a secondary school developing e-learning and literacy, which was when my love of writing got reignited. So I lost creativity for a while there. Although I had Unlikely Genius on the side, I was just doing bits of logos for very low money, like for 30 quid here and there and stuff, just for extra pocket money, and didn't really see it as a business or a thing I was particularly loving anymore at all. So yeah, and that was until I threw myself into self-employment 4 years ago and everything changed.
Yeah, let's go over a bit of that journey a little bit. It was around about the time you qualified to be a lecturer, or when you were training to be a lecturer, that you were diagnosed with MS. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little about how MS affects you physically and what that means for you in your working and everyday life capacities?
Yeah, it's a very unpredictable illness. So when I was first diagnosed, I had 4 relapses in very quick succession, which I lost my vision. And that was my main symptom. And that was what led to the diagnosis, because I kept losing my vision in one eye. So after being told it was a migraine for 18 months, I found out it was MS. And I've been very lucky in that I've managed to manage it well. I've never had major relapses where, I can't walk and that kind of thing. I do, however, have a back problem that causes that sometimes. But so the vision was always the first presenting symptom, but what it's done over the years is just develop slowly a few other things. So I have always had slightly restless legs, but they now go crazy. So I can have really violent spasms, particularly at night as I'm dropping off to sleep, and through the night, I'm forever kicking Graham, getting told off for that one. He calls it the river dance. I wake up in the morning and say, "You were river dancing again last night." So that's been a big thing as well that has stopped me sitting still, and I've just been on the go for years because I struggle to sit. So a lot of these crafts have actually helped me to do that and to focus on something else while I'm sitting down. So I do have things like wandering pain, muscle spasms, brain fog is a big thing, mostly because of fatigue. So I can just forget what I'm saying. And I'm actually just currently in my first relapse in 7 years. So it started in February, and I literally only got acknowledgement of this from the hospital last Friday. So 13 weeks it's taken to get any help. So during that time, anxiety, depression comes back up. I've started having panic attacks again because nobody was listening. So I'm very driven. I don't let it stop me doing stuff. I'm still going to the gym, even though I've developed vertigo for the first time with this relapse. I just have to grip the bike very hard while I'm on it and things. But it's actually good for me to carry on. So long way of saying I manage it fairly well, but currently I'm in a funny phase where, it's coming back to haunt me right now at the moment. So I've just got to kind of manage it well. But one of the ways I'm doing that is through creativity and crafts.
That's brilliant. We will definitely explore that. Can you explain to me, sorry, in my absolute ignorance of this now, why is it not there all the time? How is it managed in between? Why is it the case of you get relapses? And how are those when it's finally acknowledged medically that that's what you've got, how that is then treated medically, if you don't mind?
No, that's absolutely fine. So there's 3 types of MS. There's relapsing remitting, where you get these waves of symptoms flaring up and then they will trail off usually after a few weeks. So generally for me it would be about 6 weeks or something. So when I say I had 4 relapses of that at the beginning, it would just be my eye would flare up, my vision would go, coordination and balance as a result, and depth of field and all that kind of thing. And then they would put me on steroids and it would ease and I'd be fine again in a few weeks. But then you have secondary and primary progressive, where your symptoms are more constant every day, and what you can change from one to another. So what we're investigating at the moment is whether I might be going from relapsing remitting into secondary, because this relapse that, starting in February should have gone by now. Even though I've not had any medication for it, it should start to ease on its own, and it's not. It's actually changing, and I've got new symptoms appearing. So you've just got to kind of learn, and it's so hard because even the neurologists don't know a lot of the time what they attribute to the MS, what they attribute to, like I say, I've got a back problem, so sometimes they'll say things are due to that. Sometimes they say it's just because you're stressed. And it is a real game of trying to kind of have the right conversations. And when it does flare up, I should be given, in the past I've always been given steroids, but in the 7 years since I had a relapse, apparently regulations have changed and guidance. So now I'm not allowed them. And I also wasn't allowed because I was going on a plane on holiday, and they said steroids lower your immune system, and with COVID, they didn't want me to be on a plane with COVID and having no immune system. So that was a whole game I didn't expect. So at the moment, it's a case of looking at, because all the guidance has changed with disease-modifying drugs and stuff, whether I might actually be better going on those for the future, because they just slow down progression. So that's the next step, really.
I understand. Thank you. Yeah, that's you very often in these situations have to keep pushing and pushing from your end, don't you? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, good for you to keep doing that. So going back to your story, going back to your Creativity Found story and your timeline, I'm actually just thinking about the vision though, because that was your first symptom, and that's so very important to your design work. So that surely will have had an effect on your confidence as well, do you think?
Massively. And that's something that I've been saying to them for the last 3 months now, when I've, because my vision started to go again in March, and they'd just be saying, oh, well, just take time off work. But I also work for myself, so I can't just do that. I can't just it'll be 6 months by the time I get to see the neurologist. I can't just take 6 months off work, even if I was employed, that's not going to go down well. That is part of why I had issues in that world of employment, because they didn't like the time off for appointments, and they didn't understand the pain that goes on and on. So that's a whole different story. But yeah, it is definitely something that affects me, because reds just disappear and blues, and it's really foggy. Plus, my depth perception is out, like I say. So looking at a screen can be really hard. I've actually had to go and get new glasses just for even for this relapse, pretty much. When you were already lacking in confidence, I think for something like that to happen is really hard, especially, I say, like I say, I've always been active as well. So when you're told you've got MS and you hear about people in wheelchairs and struggling with mobility, and you've got all that fear as well of, am I going to lose that side of life as well? So it is a really big mental challenge to get past, for sure.
Yeah, I can well imagine. So, back to your journey.
Yeah.
Tell me about the e-learning then. So you had a short stint in lecturing and then you were poached to the e-learning. What does that mean and what does that involve? And how was that for you emotionally? Did you feel happier in that situation?
Yeah, I think when I look back, I think pretty much all employment I struggled with, because I struggle with open plan offices, with my energy levels. I get really bad misophonia, so background noises can drive me potty. I just can't concentrate. And also, that thing of having to commute for an hour each way, sit in an office 9 to 5, which would either be roasting or freezing. All these things had an effect on, something that is quite a sensory illness as well, because I get UTOS phenomenon as well, where heat exacerbates your symptoms. So all these things added up to obviously having quite a rough time, plus being in pain, plus people not understanding and actually telling me they didn't believe I had MS. So that was yeah. So I left lecturing and actually worked as a teaching assistant for 6 months while I just worked out what I wanted to do. And it was actually someone contacting me through LinkedIn saying there's this job in a secondary school developing e-learning and literacy. I think you'd be perfect for it. Do you want to do it? So I did that for about 3.5 years, I think. But then again, through LinkedIn, someone approached me saying there's a job in an e-learning agency as a designer. So it brings together all those things: your teaching, your design, your e-learning, your literacy. Do you want to go for it? I got that. And for the first year or two, I was actually really happy and really enjoying it. But I just got to that point where it was made clear I wouldn't be going anywhere. I kept having opportunities dangled and they didn't come off. And then other things started happening there that were really contributing to the anxiety, the depression, really, really struggling in the environment. I just got to a point where I had to walk. I had to hand my notice in. I just couldn't put up with what I was being put through anymore. I had such a range of skills. I was doing basically the whole process, which is very unusual. People either write, design, or build, and I was doing the whole thing. So that's quite a selling point. And yeah, launched myself into doing Unlikely Genius full time, turned it from a graphic design business into an e-learning one. And I haven't stopped work since for 4 years.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Creativityfound.co.uk is the place to go to find workshops, courses, supplies, kits and books to help you get creative. So if you're looking for your own Creativity Found experience, go have a browse to see what's on offer so far. And if you can help adults to find their new creative passion, please get in touch on social media or through the contact details on the website. And what kind of courses are you making?
Well, I started off pretty much doing anything. So I've done everything from health and safety to safeguarding to finance modules, how to use the new Canon printers. It can be like anything. But what I've really realised is that, and this is partly because of my other business falling off the ladder, that I really like the health, medical, environmental, leadership, all that kind of thing, self-development. I've kind of tried to niche myself just specifically into that. And I've just started work for a new client, which is a year's work, actually. They've hired me for. So, and I'll be working on all that kind of stuff like leadership and coaching and training, which absolutely just is perfect because I'm training to be a coach at the moment as well. So it all comes together. It all comes together.
Brilliant. So training to be a coach, and you mentioned they're falling off the ladder. Tell me about falling off the ladder.
So, oh gosh, last year I had a book out called Falling Off the Ladder, which is basically a book about how I got myself to where I am now, how I got into a place where I'm thriving, I've got a thriving business, and moved on from toxic workplaces, being discriminated against, being bullied, all that kind of stuff, to where I am now. And it's just literally a book about how to change your mindset from the 9 to 5 working for someone else to being in charge of your own kind of business, your own destiny a little bit. It's just won the Business Book Award, the highly commended award in the wellness and wellbeing category. So that's been a
Woohoo!
huge, huge, still in disbelief step. I still can't believe that one.
Brilliant.
Um, yeah, and off the back of that, it was just really funny that the person, Erin Chamberlain, who mentored me through writing the book and was my editor and runs the Right Now accountability group that I was part of, that I wrote most of the book in, had said to me, I think you'll be a coach within 5 years. And I was like, oh, don't be silly. No. And then something was planted. Someone else made a similar comment. And then, oh, right, yeah, I might do that.
It often takes people on the other side to see these things in you, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I just never would have thought at all. But yeah, it planted a seed. And I just love talking to other business owners about how to really get their head in the space and see their achievements and make steps forward and get out of that kind of feeling lost and where to go next and what to do. And it's, yeah, so like I say, it's only early days, but I really enjoy it. So long may that live.
Brilliant. Yeah, as a freelancer for very many years and trying new things more recently, there are often moments when you feel a bit lost or you feel a bit
Mm.
like, I kind of know what I want to do, but I don't know what order to do it in, or,
Yes.
or just I just need a bit of a pep talk or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely need those outside people, a bit of community or a bit of you're not all completely on your own. So that is really brilliant, Helen. Let's get on with why and how you started experimenting with crafting and how those endeavors benefit your everyday life and your health now. So you mentioned crocheting. Tell me about that and what that kind of led you on to.
Yeah, I think one of the things that sparked it off was actually when I was a lecturer, and it was really funny because I was teaching 16 to 18-year-olds, doing lots of workshops and stuff, and often they'd come in and teach me a technique I didn't know about, and it was great, and they loved it when I'd be like, "This is amazing! Right, tell me how to do it." So that kind of ignited something in me, but I hadn't quite found what it was I wanted to do, and obviously teaching takes up all your time anyway. But so when I left the teaching, I kind of just wanted to find something, a hobby that I could do at home that was not netball and all those things I was doing, that I just kept injuring myself and making myself worse than I already was. Ankle's still not recovered. And you know, like I said, do it at home and just feel like it was something that would make me relax. And I got into mindfulness and stuff as well. And it was when I saw a post on Facebook about these octopuses, and I thought, oh, I could have a go at that. And I'd tried knitting in the past, could not do that. But I thought, right, maybe with one needle, one hook, I might be all right. And well, I was off. I still don't actually get many of the octopuses to pass, but I'm great at the jellyfishes, so that's all right. I can keep doing those. And the lovely thing is, if they don't pass, they still go to angel babies. So when people lose their child, they get an octopus, and the baby does as well, for any that haven't passed regulation. So it's lovely, even if they don't go to the actual intended purpose. But so yeah, I started crocheting those, and then next thing you know, I've got all the books about crocheting different animals because I love animals so much. Started crocheting a whale that I thought was going to be 20 centimetres, and it's longer than my leg. So that's Betty. She sits on the back of the settee. And I've actually been banned from making any more for the house. So I had to make dinosaurs for my nephew. I've made safari animals for a neighbour on the estate. And from there, I actually started crocheting for blankets for baby rhinos. Literally make blankets for orphaned baby rhinos and for the
Oh.
guys that go out in the desert at night and protect them from poachers. So I've done blankets and hats for those guys. Yeah, and I've actually ended up as like their designer now, I've designed socks for them and all sorts. It's really random, but yeah, and calendars and all that kind of thing. All that kind of just set me off on doing these things that, like I said, crochet is great for mindfulness because you've got to sit and count and you've got to pay attention to what you're doing. So you can't be thinking about work or about all the jobs you've got to do around the house or anything. I've just got to be counting. So it was just brilliant for that. And then, like I said, the restless legs, I can't sit and watch TV and just do that. And we don't actually have one anyway, but if I do watch Netflix on my tablet or something, I have to be doing something else and keeping my hands busy. And it just does that for me. It just makes me sit, and I can crochet a whole jellyfish while binge watching a couple of episodes of Big Bang Theory or whatever it
Yeah.
might be.
Yeah.
So it's been really good for me in that way, because, like I say, I never stop otherwise. I just keep going and going. And then, like I say, we moved here to Bingley, and luckily at the same time, the craft house have moved to Bingley. And who doesn't want to go and make a pottery hare? Like moon gazing hare was one of them. And I can't believe what came out of that. And yeah, like I say, the weaving the scarf and everything. So yeah, it's just one of those things that all came together, and I just keep finding more and more things now. And I should probably stop and not take on any more hobbies, but let's face it,
Yeah,
maybe
but
something.
otherwise you can be all work and no play, and
Yeah.
this is benefiting you in many other ways, but it's also very enjoyable, and we often
Mm.
forget that we can do things just for the fun of it.
Yeah, well, this is it, and it's very easy to start going, oh, I'll start weaving scarves and selling them on Etsy and things. And I was about to do that, and actually, like someone said to me, that's when it doesn't become fun anymore. When you've got regulations, you've got people mourning because it didn't look how it did on the pictures, and all of that. So I just like doing it for gifts, and for like I also took up resin crafts, like so making resin jewelry, and that's pretty much all been for family so far and things. And then it was really nice that my sister spotted something actually on Etsy and then said, "Can you make this?" And we lost my dad and my grandma last year, and what I've done is trap their funeral flowers in some resin for us all and stuff as well, in like a little paperweight thing. And just even being able to do stuff like that actually really means something for all our family, and keep that little reminder and memento of them both. It's really nice to be able to do that. I say, with absolute catastrophe behind me. I'm glad you can't see it, of the bits I need to finish. I've been sat there for ages.
That's all
Ignore it.
part of it. But don't you feel that it's probably also, even if it's subconsciously or maybe it is consciously, these things are going to be imparting information onto your brain, maybe informing stuff that you do in work. It's obviously helping you mentally and physically to a certain extent, but it's possibly feeding in neurons and all sorts of other things as well.
Oh, definitely. And you know what? You know the funny thing that's come out of this? In 2 job interviews for contracts for my freelancing, the first thing that has been said is, "Tell me about blankets for baby rhinos," because it's on my LinkedIn profile. And I've gone on and got those 2 jobs because they've just been like, "You're the kind of person we can work with."
Yeah.
And that is a totally unintended kind of expected benefit, really. But yeah, the interview I had just before I went on holiday, and I've just started the work last week, that was the first thing they asked me. Like, I love it. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Tell me more. Tell me about the octopuses. And it's a way of them getting to know you as well. So
Yeah.
it's really nice. But yeah, I do think it makes a big difference. I mean, for for the third business, Be the Future, I'm doing a lot of illustration at the moment, and that's been really cathartic to get back into that, because ever since I was little, I've wanted to write and illustrate a children's book. That has been a big goal, but I've never been brave enough. I didn't think I was a writer, and I didn't have the confidence in the design work. And well, I'm now a co-founder of Be the Future with Sally, and Sally's writing the book with, my input, and I'm just starting the illustration now. And it is so lovely to feel that I'm finally going to achieve that thing that I've wanted for so long. And I actually really love how it's going. The fear was stopping me getting started for a while. And I just kept researching, creating more Pinterest boards, for inspiration. But I'm really happy with it so far now. And I'm like the front cover and a few characters in, but like, it is a really nice feeling, like you say, those neurons that are going now thinking, I'm actually going to do this. I'm actually going to have a children's book out.
That is so exciting. It's so exciting
Yeah.
that you are drawing as well, even if it weren't for this book. But it's obviously a very important project. So tell me a bit more about the project.
Yeah, so Be the Future is all about helping parents to raise the eco leaders of the next generation. So young children, really get them embracing nature. But what we really want to do is reduce the eco anxiety. So we're doing it all through fun and storytelling and my sarcasm. So like Sally's always like, please add sarcasm to this, get more of that in there. We just want it to be fun instead of all the doom and gloom and the horrible statistics. So, the branding I've created for us is all bright and colourful based on the rainbow colours. We run that through everything, and yeah, I get to express myself with the writing in my tone of voice, like I say, my sarcasm, my puns, my silliness, and be the big kid I like being, never mind, trying to inspire the actual children. And I get to illustrate for it. I get to, sometimes I'm using stock imagery and stuff, sure, but like it's pulling everything together, my design skills, my teaching skills. We've just released an activity book for all weathers, so it's called Whatever the Weather. And it's just like 6 pages of, if it's raining, here are some activities. If it's sunny, here are some. So all aimed at helping young children engage with nature and learn some eco-anxiety easing tips without even necessarily realising that's what they're doing. So you're not saying, right, we're going to sit down and make you feel calmer. You're going about it a different way. So I've just absolutely loved doing that. And it's, yeah, we've got very giddy with the amount of stuff we want to do. It's just a passion project at the moment, but it's gaining ground. And hopefully when we get the books and games and other resources out later this year, that will be a fully fledged business, and yeah, just helping other people. So,
well, you are achieving so much, and it's so wonderful to hear, and it's wonderful to hear it in your voice as well, in your excitement and your pleasure and joy at everything that you're doing creatively now, and for the good of the future as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we need to do what we can, but enjoy it in the process. I'm all about the enjoyment.
Let us know how people can connect with you. Let us know all your different contacts and the different projects and how people can connect with you via those regions.
Yeah, I am literally everywhere, I've got to say, with all the different things. But if you're interested in Be the Future, head to our bethefuture.earth website, and that's got all the links for our social media, Twitter and Instagram and things, and our Hope Act Thrive podcast on there, where we're talking to leaders in environmental action. Some incredible guests have said yes, we can't believe it, so come and listen to that. And otherwise, you can either go to unlikely-genius.com or fallingofftheladder.com, and that again has got all my links to all my social media. Mostly hang out at fallingofftheladder.com at the moment because of obviously the book. So you can find me on Instagram at fallingofftheladder as well. Oh, and LinkedIn /Helen Hill.
Thank you so much, Helen. It's been such a lovely chat.
No, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for listening to Creativity Found. If your podcast app has the facility, please leave a rating and review to help other people find us. On Instagram and Facebook, follow @Creativity Found Podcast, and on Pinterest, look for @Creativity Found. And finally, don't forget to check out creativityfound.co.uk, the website connecting adults who want to find a creative outlet with the artists and crafters who can help them tap into their creativity.